Yeah, here we go again. My little interview with le commissaire.
Le commissaire.
Commissaire.
The commissioner.
Listen, you speak about language. I have a complaint about language. I was arrested, not the first time, last year at the ledge by the police, and they asked me at the end. They said, "Mr. LeBlanc, do you understand why you're being arrested?" I said, "You know what? I don't understand. I want it en français." So next thing you know, they say, "You'll get French at the police station." So right off the bat, in front of the New Brunswick legislator, I couldn't get my service en français. But then when I had it en français, it was Québec français. Moi je suis acadien. Moi je parle le Chiac. You know what I mean?
Well, the idea is there is no one English language or one French language as far as I'm concerned. You have variations. You know, you listen to someone speaking English who is from Ireland, and you, for me anyway, I have to listen closely because there are expressions I don't necessarily. If it's English, or if it's Scottish, it's still English spoken, you know, by someone from. So you have different variations here in this province. I mean, you go to Miramichi, you have some expressions which are very colorful in the Miramichi that you. And I saw a book the other day about Miramichi words or a Miramichi dictionary. So there are variations. French is the same way.
Yeah.
You were telling me at the start there I'm a Braillon. Well, you know, we all speak French, but with some different variations, different expressions that are not used elsewhere. So, yeah, but it's still French. And I think the law doesn't make a difference as long as it's French.
But we can't understand. There's some, like, I had a chat when I was arrested in '06 in St. John. They asked me if I want my trial in français or in English. I said, well, Your Honor, I'm a proud Acadian, but I'd rather have it in English because I can understand more than French.
Yeah, you see.
You know, there's some French words.
See, part of the job I'm doing is to try to prevent that happening to people like you.
Really?
There's no reason why your French would deteriorate as a result of your environment to the point where you are unable to use it anymore.
But we speak the Chiac.
Chiac is French. I mean, there's a lot of English words in it, but I mean the whole idea of Chiac is to use the French approach to language, inserting English words. The structure.
Je vais au store, me chercher un paquet de smoke.
It's some areas of the province they use that. That concerns educators, teachers, parents. If it's the only French language you have, you may have a problem because it restricts you from being able to understand or converse in other parts of the world or other parts of the country. You're saying that, you know, you couldn't understand a police officer who was originally from Quebec or from.
No, he was from Niguac. But he had the piece of paper in front of him to read it, my rights.
Yeah, well,
and it was a little bit, it was confusing. I told him, "Ferme ta gueule, arrête-moi par le langage de tapette de Québec, parle-moi en Chiac."
Mais ça, c'était pas du français de Québec, ça. C'était droit constitutionnel. Your constitutional rights are in the Constitution of Canada, which is in both French and English. It's just standard French. There's nothing wrong with the Constitution's French. You may have a problem understanding parts of it because of what you had to go through. And in a way, my job and the job of and the basis for bilingual rights, for bilingualism recognized officially, etc., is to make sure that people do not only lose their language, but the ability to use it, to understand it fully. And that's what we have seen in this province, in some parts of the province, generations. I mean, you have people from St. John. Are you from St. John?
Member and Cook.
Member and Cook. Did you spent some time in St. John?
15 years.
Okay. There are some people whose grandparents or parents.
Very sad history in St. John.
See?
They were forced to change their name from LeBlanc to White just to get a job, just to
But you see,
survive.
this is what has happened in the past, and now it was recognized in the early 60s that when those laws were adopted that shouldn't continue. I mean, that's to lose one's language or lose one's culture is something that you know, that people shouldn't have to suffer. Some people make a choice, that's fine, but people shouldn't be forced by an environment to lose what is part of who they are. And that's something that sticks right in your gut, who you are. Give you a little anecdote. We're talking about language. I was in St. John, first few years of my mandate, and I was driving down there for an interview, and I was listening to the radio, and they had a call-in show, and this woman called, and she was very upset because her niece, I think, was in immersion, grade 1, and she couldn't even spell cat. And she was saying that it was awful that she was going to lose her English language. It was awful. Now, that was never going to happen. I've never heard of it, that, an Anglophone loses his language. But the point I'm making is that for her it was so important that she didn't lose it. Same applies to Francophones in this province. And what makes it more real for them is that you were talking about generations in St. John where people moved down there, and as a result their children or their grandchildren
lost it.
And so there is this feeling that you don't want to lose it. So how do you make it so you don't lose it? The government has to play a role.
We'll get to that 1 second. Hold it. This is good. This is